Next minute, Tony Novak here to share a few points on how to stay out of tax trouble. Today's topic is an update on the Corporate Transparency Act. So first, let's say this is not directly a tax matter. The Corporate Transparency Act is not part of the Internal Revenue Code. It's a completely separate federal law. It's going to be governed outside of the Internal Revenue Code. So the first thing is that there is a big discussion right now within the industry, within the legal profession. Will the tax even be involved? Many of my peers have said that they are not going to be involved. In my case, just because most of my clients are small business owners and real estate investors that do use LLCs and family partnerships and various organizations, because they will be affected, I don't think it's even appropriate for me to consider that I would not be involved. Yes, there is significant professional risk for myself or anyone else that chooses to get involved, but that's the world that we live in. So the next point is where do we stand right now? As of today, the Corporate Transparency Act becomes effective January 1, which of course is only a few months away. So if you form a business organization, almost any entity, we'll talk about the exceptions in a minute, but if you form almost any entity in January, then you need to register that separately from your state registration, separately from your federal EIN or other registration if that applies. Separately, you have to disclose significant, basically full information about all of the beneficial owners and controllers of that organization. And this is significant because many of the people that I see form separate organizations specifically to exclude disclosing one or more of the principals, controllers, or investors. So that's the first problem I see. For example, if you open social media in any real estate discussion group, and you'll read about a person who just formed an LLC in Wyoming that owns properties in Florida. They're each owned by a separate LLC, and the whole point of that was that they did all of that was to provide protection, partly in the form of non-disclosure of the controlling entities. So that's a significant problem. So back to my point, if you form an organization in January 2024, you have only 30 days to register that or face, as it stands now, significant dollar fines. Now, for every other organization, everyone that existed prior to January of 2024, you get 12 months. You have the whole year in which to register. But again, that's a massive number of organizations. A massive number of people won't get the word. I think I mentioned on previous podcasts, we expect the government to be not strict in enforcing those fines, but the fact is that the fines are on the books. All right, so the update portion is that at this point, almost every major CPA association, at least the ones that I've read, have all been involved in lobbying the government to postpone the effective date of this new law. The New Jersey CPA Association, which I'm a member, officially announced yesterday that they're joining the opposition in lobbying for a delay in the effective date. So my guess is that there's a pretty good chance that the law will be delayed, and the basis of delay is simple. I read there's a bill proposed in the House and the Senate, and the bill is really simple. It's delay effective date of the new law until you have the rules written. It's not an unreasonable request because right now there just seems to be so many unanswered questions. I mentioned that I'm going to talk about the exclusions. So we're going to start by saying that it applies to every organization doing business in the United States, whether it's registered, formed in the United States, not formed in the United States, no matter whether it's a LLC, partnership, corporation, nonprofit, we're going to assume that they're all going to be affected. There is an extensive list of exceptions, but I've read through them and it is confusing. And I would not presume to say that any organization of which I'm associated with or have as a client falls within the exemptions. I'm sure they might, but it just sounds like the exemptions are so crazily written and hard to interpret that I wouldn't have the comfort of saying that you are exempt and then risk that ridiculous fine. So we need more clarification. We need more rulemaking. And my guess is that the new law effective date will be postponed. So thanks for joining in today for Tax Minute. I'd love to hear your comments, thoughts, responses, ideas for a future topic. I'm easy to reach at taxproblems.cpa. You'll find an easy phone number, a message link, and a way to make a telephone appointment for a follow-up call. I'll be back tomorrow with another Tax Minute.